with apologies for not being able to join you as I normally do on Saturday mornings, because I was up in New York at the Big East basketball tournament where the Villanova Wildcats won it all in overtime against a very tough Providence team. And now begins March Madness, that time of year that every college basketball fan loves the most. And we'll have a few things to say about that down the road. In the meantime, there's a different kind of madness that appears to be settling out a little bit. That is the madness of the North Korean dictatorship and the fact that they have invited Donald Trump to be the first sitting president to sit down with them and talk face to face. Now, this isn't truly a negotiation necessarily, but rather a first meeting. And things do get a little dicey down the road, but President Trump has proven himself to be a master negotiator and somebody that could bring the North Koreans to the table. You know, just a few months ago, the Democrats were telling us that his bellicosity with respect to Little Rocket Man was going to push the world towards a nuclear war. Instead, it looks right now like exactly the opposite is occurring. So pray for peace and the success of President Trump with the North Koreans. Meanwhile, the eyes of the world are focused here on beautiful Pennsylvania once again, and the special election in the 18th Congressional District in the southwestern corner of our state. There, Conor, the Democrat, goes up against Rick Saccone, the Republican, tomorrow in a very, very close contest, one that frankly shouldn't be that close. And so why is it that tight? Part of the reason is that Rick Saccone, unfortunately, was never able to make the gigantic shift out of running for state representative, which he's done very successfully several times, to running for Congress. He didn't raise the money necessary to fund his own message. And so he was dependent upon outside money, which in and of itself can be a problem, to take his message to the voters. Meanwhile, he himself was out knocking on doors when it might have been better to be dialing for dollars. The Democrats, though, ran a very unique message there. They've lost 5 out of 5 special elections for House seats since Donald Trump became president. And each time they said, Donald Trump bad, our guy good. And it didn't work. This time, Conor said, basically, I'm closer to Trump than any Democrat on the national stage. I won't vote for Nancy Pelosi. I'm pro-gun. I'm pro-life, etc. So he really ran much closer to Donald Trump, a real affirmation of the Trump popularity in that particular part of Pennsylvania, where in 2016, Donald Trump won by 20 points. Hardly an aberration, though, because 4 years earlier, Mitt Romney had won it by 17. And although that district is still registered Democrat, it has voted Republican consistently for the past generation. So what happens tomorrow is going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be much, much closer than it should have been. And there's even the possibility of a Democratic victory there, which would really send a lot of messages nationally, not all of which are going to be true, because the national media always plays these things up way bigger than they ought otherwise to be. But ultimately, this may prove to be the consummate Pyrrhic victory, because the district as it's currently configured won't exist in the November election, and neither Conor or Rick Saccone live in the newly configured district put together by the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court. So let's see what all becomes of that. But for now, that is the best 60-ish seconds of your new week.